Welcome to
Unfiltered Growth.
Real Talk on Trends and Strategies. This podcast is your weekly dose of reality-checked wisdom
As we explore the intersection of entrepreneurship, marketing, culture, business, and innovation.
We strip away the BS and dive into real challenges and opportunities for revenue growth.
With a sharp, unfiltered lens.
Expect raw conversations, real success,
And failure stories.
and practical advice that you can apply to your journey.
No filters.
Just growth.
I think for starters, what's your vision? Like, what gets you up in the morning outside of 5-hour energy drinks? What's your mantra? What is about you that's like, yo, I'm here, full energy, hit the record button, let's go.
Yeah, I am so ridiculously and almost like inappropriately passionate about growth in like every area. Ryan Serhant, Bravo $1 million listing in New York, he would always say, always growing in all ways. And I remember hearing that and I was like, that is my mantra, always growing in all ways. So I'm so passionate about helping people. And I think the thing that it is really though is I just hate so much bullshit. There's so much stuff that is big. I'm like, if I could do anything with my life and had all the time or whatever to do it, I think I would read every self-help book on the planet and turn it into a checklist because I hate how long shit takes. So that's what gets me moving. How about you, man? What's your energy? Where are you from? What gets you going?
I am all about progress. Everyone's, like you said, everyone's chasing these audacious goals that they may never hit, or they think they're going to get it after reading one self-help book, going one conference, hearing one podcast episode, and they're like, yeah, I'm about to make my 10 mil, about to get these numbers up. 2 days later, man, I'm done. Life is over. They hit one pebble in the road, and they're just like, people realize really quickly they're not built for it. The things that they actually want, they're not built for it. But you could be trained. You can be conditioned to be built for it, but you're not out the box. Here I am, Totally. And if you're comparing yourself to people who already got it in the bag, well, no, they already have 10 steps ahead of you. Underdog mentality, Koba mentality, favorite player of all time. Like, let's go get it. I'm a believer that with enough time and patience and the right folk around you, you can manifest your own destiny. Like, forget what anyone else says. So that's where I'm at. From Chi-Town. Let's do it. CK, all you, girl.
Let's do it. I love this, man. This is awesome. I love your energy. This is great.
Yes. And I kind of pull from both of the things you guys are talking about. For me, in my own life, and then just like helping others, whether that be in business or I'm also a cheer coach on the side. In like cheerleading world, or and Troy's been to one of my practices. I dragged him to it one day.
He's intense.
I'm sure.
And is making things in a streamlined process easier, but also like automating things that don't need to be manually done. Because I've really worked with a lot of like sales and CS teams. Just hearing sales complain about having to put this in their CRM, put that in whatever in SalesLoft, whatever they're using. But really seeing like what they're doing in their day-to-day to then really focus on the things that motivate them, because there's so many things within automation, tech, or just in productivity to like rip that away and really make it efficient for them to be that person, to be motivated, to get out of that mundane and out of that stickiness, to really push them forward in their career, and then even be that osmosis person, because when you're with people who are passionate, with people who have that growth mindset, you're going to eventually have that too, because you can see that end goal, you can see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Totally. I always find that I was doing the thing recently to look at all the top sales reps I ever managed, the top, because it's like there's the top guy, the next one down is half as good, and then everyone else is half as good as that person. And so I looked at all of them and started looking at their LinkedIns and sort of everything about them to see what was it that made them successful, or what was it that was similar. And for all of them, to your point, Troy, every single person had a chip on their shoulder. Like one guy, his brother was in jail. So he was like, I need to prove that, I really am as important as he thinks I am, and like prove that you can do whatever. Another one was the opposite. It was like grew up in a family that was super affluent and was like, I don't know if I belong. and I got a chip in my shoulder about it. So there was all these people that had chips in their shoulder. Well, they also all had either super inspiring friends that were all really successful, so just doing a lot felt like the normal, or parents that made it feel that way. There's one guy, I remember too, he like two of his brothers are both, one's a professional rugby player, one's a professional some Irish sport, I don't know, not curling, but something, hurling player. And so it's like just doing more than you should seems normal. And that level set, I think it makes a difference. Look at us. We're all the exact same. How cool is that?
What's your drink of choice to chill?
To chill, old fashioned.
Okay.
Bourbon old fashioned, 100%.
Who do you attribute to helping you become who you are right now?
Man, you're just gonna ask a deep question like that?
I mean, we gotta switch a little bit.
Man, so many people. Who do I think? No, I'm gonna say what I think you would think I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say my dad. I think my dad took himself seriously, wanted to be successful, and had the right level of intimidation. That I wanted to be just like the big dog, the superhero. And I think in seeing that, it made me drive to want to impress dad. And then I think also seeing him do what he did made me feel like, oh, that's normal. And so I'd say that.
So let's address the elephant in the room. Is sales hard? Yes or no?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Sales is hella hard. But what I actually said recently, we don't get paid a lot because we have some incredible skill set, though we obviously can grow that and get better. We get paid a lot because we're willing to do it. We're willing to go do something that we know as we turn the Zoom on, you don't like us. That is hard to do. We then have to make a human do something else that they may want to do, they may not be sure they want to do. And if you're a parent, you know how hard that can be. And all we do is get older in a lot of ways, not necessarily get more mature when it comes to moving. So it's extremely challenging to show up in an area where people already put you lower on the totem pole, and then get those people to move. And then I think even more importantly, what people don't think about a lot with sales is inside of organizations, there's nobody that everybody hates more than the sales team. Because every problem the company has can be resolved by the sales team. And the sales team has a lot of problems that everybody thinks are not important. And so the sales team complains all the time, and everyone thinks those complaints are all BS. So at the end of the day, nobody likes us. The customers don't, our managers don't, everybody else in the business don't. And we have to still exist through that and have confidence to do what it is that we need to do, which is create the revenue that's going to help that customer do what they ultimately want to do. They didn't realize we were going to help that business get the money to pay everybody who's mad at us. So we end up being a big driver. But yeah, it's very, very, very challenging job.
I relate to this point you made on everybody hating sales. And for me, one of my biggest, not really passions, I guess you could say, but things that I love doing is getting sales and marketing and CS together on the same page and really like working together. And I've had a lot of conversations with people talking about if marketing should roll up. I mean, if like SDR, BDRs should go to the marketing side and roll up to marketing or be sales. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I have my own opinions. Troy probably has his. But what are your thoughts of if a BDR, SDR team, should it be rolling up to marketing or the sales org?
This is the big question. Yeah, I wonder between the three of us, we'll have 2 opinions or 3 opinions on this. So I'll say this. My answer is it should roll to the sales org. And here's why. What I found is that marketing typically doesn't focus on SQLs, even if they think they do, because good marketing is creating a brand. But good branding can't be attributed to leads. So if I give you a marketer, I say, I want 100 leads today, and I want 1,000 leads in a year. The marketer really should say, which one? You only have one choice. I can either do contact us forms, blogs that are really tactical that someone clicks on and then wants to book a demo. I could go to events where we have someone in the front giving out books that they only get if they give us their contact information. I can do that. And that'll give us 100 leads today. And every month, we're going to have to keep doing that. Or I can create a brand and we can get 1,000 leads every month, no problem. Oh, I want to do that one. Cool, but we can't track any of it. We can't track any of it. There's no way. How am I going to, when you go to Whole Foods, are you going to Whole Foods because you got some advertisement for it? Because someone told you to go to Whole Foods? Or because they created this brand that made you feel like it's a good brand? When you go to Whole Foods and you drop $10 in something that is really only $2, and you don't even bat an eye, is that because they told you to, and they told you the value, and they sold you on the value, and they had good copywriting? Or is it because they created a brand over 20 years and none of that is attributed to none of that can be attributed to the none of that revenue can be attributed to the effort. So you have to make that decision. So as a marketer, when you have that, you're still being yelled at for leads and you still know the answer is branding, but you have to begrudgingly work with the SDRs. And so you see the SDRs as a contact us form. You see the SDRs as just another distribution channel, which means that you treat them and what they do very automated. You can tell when the organizations that are marketing led BDR teams, those SDRs can't edit any sequences. They can't look for people that they're interested in going after. They don't learn and get any better over time because they're just a cog in a wheel. They are just a physical person to press the buttons that marketing needs them to press. When on the other hand, you unlock marketing, you say, marketing, spend $1 million and we don't know if you're going to bring back 10 million or 5. We have no idea. We hired the best of the best. We're just going to pray that it works. See ya. Then they can go do the big things and go do events and whatever else that are going to keep your brand a big brand for the next 20 years. And under the sales team, we are very driven on those numbers. So in addition to driving SQLs like we do, and we're going to push the SDRs to do that, we can change their comp plan and give different comp. You get paid $25 for SQL, and then you also get paid a % of revenue that comes in. And that ensures that you go after big companies, not just the easy ones. We can ensure that you try to learn because you're trying to become an account executive. We can ensure that we'll give you the space to learn because we're going to want to test and say, figure it out for part of it. Because if you want to run your own sequences, go for it. We encourage that on the sales side. We very much encourage curiosity and sort of pick it up by your bootstraps, figure it out. Where on the marketing side, it's very much more controlled. I think not because they're bad people, but on their side, it's very expensive. Hey, I'm spending $500,000 a month on marketing. Am I getting $500,000 a month in revenue? For some reason, people get testy about that. Where on the sales side, for some reason, we're totally cool going, yeah, let's hire another SDR. Let's get 5 of them, and we'll get a couple sales reps. I'm sure it'll pay for itself. Spend $600,000 a month in the sales team, and $500,000 a month in the marketing team. Like, what are we generating? $1.1 million. So it's important that the sales owns BDRs, so we can have them driven by SQLs, the right SQLs, and have them grow in the org. Whereas if marketing owns it, they get stuck doing the worst of both worlds and making everybody upset. And if you disagree, you're wrong, but I'd love to hear your opinions.
Yeah, so I agree with you because I've been a marketer stuck in both worlds, really. And then when I kind of took a step back and realized that was going on, what I chose to do, or what I've done and what I like doing, is really kind of being an extension of the sales team. So I go in and listen to some of the recorded calls, listening to what prospects' pain points are, because they're the ones ultimately talking to the customer or that prospective customer. So you could be writing about things, creating this branding of an ebook download or handing out whatever, having conversations, but not talking the same way that the sales team is talking. That, and it might be that the sales team could be doing it incorrectly, or it could be that marketing's not really seeing what the pain points of the customer is. So really having that relationship with that VP of sales is super important, in my opinion, to have effective marketing, to be able to work together saying, hey, yeah, like you guys are having this like this influx of leads for the ebook download, whatever it would be. We need more SDRs. And on that, it's really coaching the SDRs, working with the VP of sales of how to do that with like sales enablement, things like that. But having those tools to listen into the calls, having the ability to comment on the calls, to give like feedback with the VP of sales, to really work in tandem instead of having it be a sales org, marketing org, have it be really a organization that's a community together within your org. Because without sales and marketing working together, your customer or your prospect can be confused on the information that they're digesting, because you really do want to be aligned and streamlined.
Fair. And there's a lot we can unpack in there too on
yes.
inbound, outbound, how you compensate. And I think a lot of it too comes down to the executives in the age that we're living now, which is one with a lot of inbound leads. The sales team is always going to be upset with marketing because they're not driving enough leads. So it's easier to have the sales team get on board, I think, with BDRs, because we're all part of the same club versus marketing. But I think a lot of times we don't, no matter what, we get mad at marketing, because from an executive level, we still have this idea that marketing is going to drive leads. So we're like, where the leads at? Where I think that, the CROs, the CEOs or CMOs or whoever should be saying to the sales organizations, like, our directive is branding. You won't get leads. You'll get some inbounds, no idea where they're going to come from. If you want more leads next month, no clue how to do it. Or our organization is leads. We're going to get you a bunch of leads. They're not all going to be great, but they're going to be there every single month for you to handle. And I think because that is never said directly, sales team either says these leads suck, even though we get a lot, or how come I can't just get more leads next month? But the leads you get are awesome, and you get stuck. Mm-hmm. Troy, what do you think though?
I'm going to play Switzerland, or I'm third party, way left field here. I feel like this is y'all expertise, so I'm coming from a very unique angle, so to speak. I like to treat it more like a pod system. Like we have a treaty and we're like, you know what? Your metric sucks and your metrics suck. So let's like put everyone in pods based off a key metric you want to focus on and go get the bag. Instead of this whole marketing, you do your thing, SDRs, you do your thing, BDRs, you do your thing, BDRs, do your thing. All right, we're going to pick a coalition, a team, a B team, a C team, Alpha and Bravo, whatever. I'm thinking of Call of Duty right now. It's a whole thing. Yeah. I can just see it coming together. Like this needs to be like a whole theater thing going on. But we put them in groups based off what they're trying to focus on as what they think is going to help drive those profit margins for, let's say, Q4, Q1 next year, wherever timeline it is. And it's like, all right, this is the squad. Now pursue that metric as a unit versus us individually pursuing these separate metrics that still have to talk to each other to make sense of it. You hit your number, but for some reason we still didn't get our goal. We get the volume, but the quality sucks. And everyone can point blank to, I didn't get my quality because I didn't get enough volume, or they're in reverse. And it's just a dance that for as long as time, we just keep perpetuating the cycle. This is how things need to be. I like to think of Gravy when they did this thing on LinkedIn. I think Casey was a former CEO. And what they did was all the salespeople, the marketing team gave them the branding tools to elevate them individually to actually manifest higher quality and increase volume of inquiries. But they already were also nurturing, conditioning from the jump because they knew who they were. They didn't have to jump to as many hoops. They had everything and what they needed, all the asses, all that stuff. And marketing managed them and worked with them to elevate their brand voice and how to position the offers based off their target and their KPIs. And they did phenomenally well. It was night and day. The friction wasn't as hard, because as many times as I've been in my career, I've had to train so many sales professionals on how to market and brand themselves because they've been just told, I'm a soldier, I just go get the number. You gotta have some swagger. You gotta have some flash. You gotta get some pizzazz. You gotta like come in here a certain thing. It's not like the days of old. You just play the volume game to no end. Now I get it. Certain industries are like that. You just play the volume game, call it a day. I'm gonna get my commission and call it a day. But can you tie that back into revenue? And I want to keep everyone honest. And so it's like this whole different coalition pod system, getting away from individual sub-tier segmented boxes and just saying, here's the core thing, here's the team we're assembling, go get it. And now we're judging based off KPIs. Okay, if this season, this one's doing really well, we're going to double down on that. If it's not, we have other ones already nurturing so we don't lose as much of the pie because we went so far in on one thing. And now our whole quarter is based off this one big client or this one subset industry closing the numbers. And so that's just, my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So I at one company, I remember doing it this way, and I loved it because what it really did in particular is it made the AE and the BDR became so tight. Mm-hmm. And there was so much knowledge transfer, like the skill. We were just stealing BDRs left and right onto the sales team because we were like, you guys are growing up so fast, basically. They weren't linked up with marketing quite enough. But I could see how that would make sense. The only challenge that I have with this approach is doing it at a level of some level of scale, because even as the manager of a team at the time, I had 12 reps underneath me, and of those 12 that we had 12 BDRs, and so it became difficult to manage everybody's relationship. My BDR is on vacation this week. Can I get a lower quota? Hey, my AE doesn't convert things, but he should convert them. And so it became so much people management from a management leadership perspective that it became really hard. And then once predictive revenue came out from HubSpot, the HubSpot folks, everyone's like, we want a system. We want everyone doing the exact same thing. So it became everybody's a number, but we have the CMO. So I think that similar to sales orgs where there's like different regions, I think it'd be really interesting to see that from if there was like revenue orgs of different regions. So instead of being like rep, marketer, BDR, it was like reps, marketers, BDRs East, reps, marketers, BDRs West, or whatever, to then see what's working. And I think that would be really interesting as a business because it creates the competition as well. But there's a little level of scale. So I'm with you.
So leads to our perfect segue. When you're talking about people ops, the advancement of technology, we have our very own HubSpot elite strategist here to blow our minds and maybe our pocketbooks. Obviously, my question always thinks, well, we need more people. Well, could we save money and invest more in technology that can maximize the redundancies, but minimize the redundancies and maximize our outputs and quality? Like, how can a CRM or the advancement and expansion of that help navigate that? So, CK, I'm tagging it over to you.
Yeah. So I will say one thing on that is I don't think that, and it depends on the org and the size, that I could help create, I can consult on how creating a automation system that people can do things that computers automation can't. And that goes back to the relationship factor that Mike, you were talking to, that how people, the last person they want to talk to is a salesperson on like a video call, but having that swagger and having that personality is super important. So when more sales leaders kind of buy into the whole like social selling, employee advocacy, having that personal brand, that can help out. I will say that to like some of our points on that. But with that being said, a lot of things that can be done within a CRM like HubSpot and having that all-in-one solution, thinking with Sales Hub, Ops Hub, Marketing Hub, CMS Hub, Service Hub, all of the hubs, and now Commerce Hub, that you can eliminate. And it's not even like people sometimes, it's dollars that you're putting for consulting on other tech that is like $1,000, $500 an hour for this older system that's not really up to date and connected. Because as I have learned as me, and then also working with different sales orgs, sales teams, whether that be like post-sale or pre-sale, is that the less clicks a rep has to do, the happier they're going to be. And if they can just see one view and have all of the information on like what they've been doing on the website, if they have like talked to someone on chat, if it's a support ticket, if it's on a free trial, if they, all of their different activities, it's super important that you automate all of that and then update that lead scoring and communicate that between sales and marketing, so that sales team's not sending out that sequence and marketing's also sending out something else, and having those limits in place to really help each other in terms of marketing's goals and sales goals, to have that automation operational process in place. And the only way to really do that is to, as a marketer or as a rev ops, marketing ops, whoever is doing that, is to have those conversations with sales CS, and then obviously the marketing team, but and even the service team, because service and CS are very different on what they're doing for that customer. And so a tool like HubSpot helps automate that, and a lot of it is like out of the box. But if you really, really want to get like AI and custom coded actions and all of that, yes, you need like an expert to do that. But a lot of the things that the sales team like is doing in terms of just manual follow-ups, or if it's activity reporting for like the execs, that all can be done within a system like HubSpot. And it's pretty out of the box and easy if you want to like plug and play and go. But if you want to get down to the creating a BDR that's not really a person, you can create that within a system like HubSpot to help your team if someone was on vacation, if their AE was on vacation, whatever that would be, is creating that person. That's, I say person because at a previous company I had, we had 4 different people that worked there, but didn't work there. And I made like personas about them internally, so we remembered, and we would talk to them, and some people would be like, who's Emily? We're like, Emily is not a real person. You got to have to like retrain the internal, like how those even can work and interact and help you as a BDR, SDR, CSM, whatever it would be. But creating those automation process, and I always say it's like the people, platform, and processes that create that automated motion for your organization. And I mean, HubSpot is that one that I've done a lot of work with on that. In a nutshell, I could go on for hours on this. That's why I was like trying to
yeah, totally. I'm cool with you. I'm also a big HubSpot fan. I use something else for lead gen off of HubSpot, but yes. Now, to answer your question directly there, Troy, you 100%. I think that we're living in the ATM world that people were living in, whatever, 30 years ago, or whatever it was, when ATMs were not a thing, where we truly are able to insert ATMs so we can hire more clerks, if that's the right terminology. Because, for example, so there's 3 things I do for companies. I either build a lead system, build a sales system, or coach your sales team. Most commonly, people are asking me to build a lead system. So historically, a lead system is you hire a BDR, you give them a list or some version of a list, you go to ZoomInfo, and you get Apollo, you use HubSpot sequences, you blast them out. But now, because of all the spam filters, you can't get through. So I started using a tool called Instantly. And with Instantly, what you can do is you can take a bunch of emails, a bunch of domains. So I get acme.com, goacme.com, tryacme.com, .co.in, whatever. Put them all in there. So now I've got 30, 40 emails, one dude, 30, 40 emails. And I tell Instantly, don't send more than 10 or 12 emails per day per email address. Here's 1,000 emails. Check you later. So without any personalization, that works. So I get 10,000 emails out in a day. Never hit spam. Then, we run into the problem of not personalized. So I then actually, instead of leaning on a software, though I'm seeing now software is coming out, they're a little clunky, but I go to Upwork and I get a team of people and I say, go find their LinkedIn bio, the restaurant in the area, a popular dish at that restaurant, their first job, give me their tenure, listed in terms of months, take the company name from ZoomInfo and change it into a shortened company name, like an acronym. And now I can insert those as dynamic fields. So now it looks more personal. And then I can go the extra mile now. And I'm using ChatGPT to then take their LinkedIn bio, their whatever, to create a starter sentence or an ending sentence or PS or whatever. And I'm plugging that through Lavender. So I'm using Lavender now to make the email itself better. So now I've got Lavender to make the email better, ChatGPT to make more content for me. Upwork is just like a bunch of humans to get the content, the people, the information where I want it. And then I plug it through instantly. And all of that is what an SDR did historically. Like a long time ago, the SDR would be like, I'm going to go Google their name, find the add to the system, do. Then we got ZoomInfo, kept the SDRs around. But now, if you're telling me I can use this system to write tens of thousands of personalized emails at scale, so we fired the SDR team, you could. I got a couple clients that are sending in 30,000 emails out a month. They're generating 10, 20 email meetings a month with just their one AE. Because they're like, well, we're happily spend $500 a month or whatever it costs to keep this running and not have to spend $5,000 a month in a BDR. But for the other clients, what I do is I add a little zap from Zapier, and the zap says if they open it, click it, do whatever, make a phone call, get a LinkedIn, add them to a sequence in HubSpot. So now, instead of firing the SDRs or hiring less SDRs, I could say, what if I have a team of SDRs that makes cold calls for 8 hours? Or actually 4 hours are cold calls, 4 hours are direct LinkedIn messaging, all custom. That'd be awesome. And what if I told you all those BDRs and SDRs are only reaching out to someone who opened an email that day, clicked on an email that day, or if you have Sales Love or some other tool, open, click, whatever, that would be great too. And what if we could then make sure that we're sending out tens of thousands of those notes every day? Wouldn't that be amazing? Yes. So this is a world where you can either get more ETMs and we can get more personal stuff out there to everybody, or we can hire less of them but have them do more high value activities. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I was going to ask with the process you talked about, if you use like Zapier to do all of that, because that's something that would, because the going to each platform, that takes time, and I was going to ask if you use something like Zapier.
I haven't used it to push everything over. So there's a couple softwares I'm seeing coming out I'm going to play with that will get the information from LinkedIn, input it into a spreadsheet or whatever.
Yep.
And there's others that will take the info and make the first line or whatever. So I feel like so much is changing. I don't want to add too much. I'm kind of want to do it manual because I feel like every time something new comes out, I'm just getting rid of something and adding a new thing, and it's not breaking the whole system. But I also don't know Zapier enough to be able to say, go find me everybody, add their emails, then now go get their bios, now change their bios, now get their info, now change the info. And I don't think I would trust it to be able to do it well. Like I use a formula in HubSpot in Excel to make an acronym for people's company names. But sometimes the company names will show up with like a bunch of capital letters. And so the acronym is like 30 letters long. So I need a human to do it there. So would love to, don't know how to, and don't trust it enough. But the system I have, I still am able to launch it in 2 weeks. Well, really 1 week. And then just time to warm up the email. So I'm pretty comfortable. I don't feel a need to get it down to like 1 hour. You know what I mean?
As an outsider, I love both perspectives because you're both expressing the power of embracing technology, but you're coming from different backgrounds and what you're used to and your comfort level and just the reality of what you feel is more valuable. But hey, I want to see how things work until they break versus I can have something running and it still kind of works 80% of the time, but maybe I'm not as conscientious of like the day to day. Now, some people, depending on where they are, I don't want to be involved with the day to day. I want that sucker. Once I push the button, it does 100 different things and spits out something else. That's it. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to care, but totally. Find with this moment right here, if you're an SDR, BDR, your CEO, your CMO, they hear this moment right here. One, this is why you freaking hire strategists. because you can just write all this stuff out. Yeah, sure, you can Google all this stuff, YouTube all this stuff, but you do have the time and the commitment to make a tangible system that's going to tie you into your outcome right now and then evolve it based off your timeline restraints. You know, I need it as fast as possible. Now I may integrate that so I don't have to deal with this except once. Or you know what? I want to build a system that I can always evolve every 3 months. So maybe I might do it this way. But how do I get started? What are my metrics to determine success? And how do I measure and track if I'm on the timeline that I need to be on to get the results that I want ultimately? And now you're navigating also access, knowledge, budget, understanding. So, okay, if I can do all that, pay all these systems and pay $5K a month, awesome. But now I need to pay maybe a strategist 15, 25K on top of that to make it custom to me. Is it worth it? Or do you want to invest all the time and energy, knowledge, and skill of your own that you may or may not have to that, putting you behind even further? But sure, you're saving money. So, Mike, to your thoughts, what do you think people should do?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, as a VP of sales multiple times, I never even considered some sort of outside consultant to do any of this kind of stuff. And what I'm realizing now, spending the last couple of years consulting with companies, is when you take away all of the BS that comes with your job when you're a full-time person, you can get so much done so fast. Like that lead system I just told you about that I'm like, I launched this in a week. I've done this other orgs full-time, and it takes 6 months. And it takes 6 months because there's multiple people involved, but also like I've got so many meetings and so many other things going on. I'm trying to do 30 different priorities at once, where because I'm just focused on this one thing over here, I can get it done so fast. I've had two or three different customers bring me on board saying, Mike, I'm going to hire a VP of sales. Can I hire you? And I'm like, well, you're hiring a VP of sales. Why are you going to hire me? And they're like, I want you to go do all the stuff so the VP of sales can come in and just do the job. So I'm working with a company right now where in a matter of 1 month, we got comp plans, go-to-market plan, financial model. We got how they get promoted, how they get fired. The CRM is up. The lead gen plan is up. The sales script is up. So the new guys coming on board to just, oh, okay, just do that. And they can then just run the team. So I'm blown away now being in this space, just how fast you can move an organization forward because you're what do you call it, a point solution. So you go, here you go, solve in 2 weeks instead of one VP who costs you $500,000. It's going to solve it in the course of 9 months. So yeah, I'm on board, obviously.
I know this might be hard. Let's go back to when we were all teenagers. But you might have the knowledge you got now. No, you got the swagger you got, but we went back in time. So it's kind of like, man, what would I do differently with the knowledge and swagger I got now back then? Like probably invest in Apple, but who knows? What are your thoughts? Like if you had to run an e-com thing now, like what would you be doing, as a teenager to push that marketing value if you didn't have all the different things that you had now?
So I'd love to jump in if I could, only because I'm boisterous, I guess. But
yeah, okay, it's for you. Go ahead, please.
2 years ago, I was or 3 years ago, just a head of sales. And I started scrolling on TikTok because that's what you do when you're bored. And so a friend of mine, she does photography. And she was the only friend of mine that would also admit that she would go on TikTok and watch videos. So we would always commiserate or joke around about that. She was like, I'm going to post something about my business. Posted a video, got 800,000 views. I go, get out of here. Not a chance. Now, I go, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to do 30 days. I'm going to post, and I'm going to see if I can get customer out of that. And she got a bunch of customers out of it. So for 30 days, I just said to myself, you're going to post 3 times a day. See what happens. In 30 days, I made 10 grand from some random guy for some job that he said, can you do this? And I go, that's exactly what I do. That is what I do, right? And it went well. And then over the course of the last 2 years, just seeing that grow exponentially, what I've realized is I feel like I have a pulse on what's happening in this big change in sales and marketing. What I've realized is that the marketing funnel used to be awareness drove engagement drove conversions. When they converted, they got the value. What I'm realizing whether it's different buyers, different time, whatever, is that it's not flip, but it's awareness drives engagement. Engagement expects value. If we get value, then we'll convert. And I think this kind of can be seen in small strings. You can see other places. Community is really important. That's becoming a thing. Thought leadership was key, a few years ago, started becoming a big thing. All these little Slack groups that have come up. This is all people creating value for people prior to purchasing. So if I could go back in time to Teen Self and say, hey, how do we build an e-com brand? It's simple. Kind of what you were saying at the beginning there, Troy. Build your own brand. What does that mean, Mike? I tell people this all the time. You want to create content that people want, that they can use immediately. You want to create content that people want, that are people that you would want to do business with immediately. And then you want to distribute it to as wide a net as physically possible. So for a lot of people, they think, I'm going to go to LinkedIn. I know you guys are big on LinkedIn. I'm trying to try there, but I don't care about LinkedIn that much because they don't distribute your content that much. It goes to your friends, maybe your friends' friends. Look, that's ads. Instagram, it's like the hardest one to grow on because it doesn't show your content to anybody. TikTok came around and said, we will proactively push your content to strangers for free. So to me, the answer is you take content that someone wants. Hey, you're thinking about hiring a fractional VP of sales and want to build a sales team. Here's how I'd recommend that you do the compensation structure. Post it on TikTok. 100,000 people see it. People will then go, that sounds awesome. The guy seems really smart. I'm going to go see if he sells something that'll allow me to get rid of my SDR. Maybe he has a lead plan. And that's how I built my business as a both e-com side of business as well as the services side of business. But I'm seeing now that both funnels are working the exact same way, which is create value, distribute it to as many people as possible. And as a result, just trust they're going to come back and generate more leads. And I'm seeing that over time, every post that I make has a financial piece to it because I know, every X number of views equals X number of dollars. And that's true on buying my scripts, buying my sales email sequences, buying my go-to-market plan. And it's true for buying coaching services from me or buying fractional VP services for me. So that's what I would say. I want to add one more thing to that, if I could, though, which is, I feel like I had a thing about content for a long time. I was on one of those Tumblr making memes, whatever, 100 years ago. And then on LinkedIn, maybe 10 years ago, I was writing articles. And I was just writing them because I felt like this desire to write them, but I didn't have any niche about what I was trying to get into. And I think because of that, like the audience wasn't getting the value consistently. Whereas now on TikTok, I've really nailed it down to sales tips, leadership tips, and they're getting that content consistently. But I think most importantly, it was only when TikTok came out to be able to say, we're going to distribute your content so fast that you can really see this shift happen. It's almost like, to me, TikTok is to marketing and sales what the internet is to everything else, because it's a completely new way of doing it. Sorry, back to you, Christina.
No, I have a lot of thoughts on this. And if I would tell myself, like my younger self, I would 100% just start like a drop shipping e-com business, because now they're way oversaturated. So I would do that back then. Now I would not start one. But in terms of, and I'm gonna like kind of change direction because we only have like 15 minutes, and I really want to kind of talk to you about, we talked about automation and we talked about different things, but how do you think that it can hurt an organization? And with the automation and the tech and everything like that, where do you see it hindering, and how can people overcome that pushback when they want to start doing all of the tech that you mentioned, like Apollo and Lavender and things like that, because those cost money, obviously. And where can a head of sales talk to their VP of sales saying, hey, we need this? And then also, how can that hurt the organization?
Yeah. So I've been saying this. I actually was about to post this the other day and took it down before I posted it, deleted the draft. So I believe that what I'm doing for lead gen that's driving leads for organizations is going to kill lead gen in the way that I'm saying we're going to do it. So I'll first start with how does this hurt organizations? The more that organizations automate, the more reserved buyers become. So realistically, when it's you could walk into a department store 50 years ago and say, hello, my name is Bob and I'm selling briefcases, right? Everyone's like, that's cool. That never happens that often. But if there was some automatic way where they hired 400 people in Times Square to do that, within a week, they'd say, no soliciting. Can't do it, right? So we're seeing that happen over time. Emails are cool, but now everybody's getting a little smarter about, is it real? Is it not real? People were like, oh, video. And then like everyone's like, video, we know if it's video, maybe it's fake. So anyways, all I mean to say is that it pushes us away from whatever that thing is, the more we automate it. So where today someone can receive an email and they can see that it's personalized. The first line's personalized. It goes directly to their inbox. It talks to their segment because the person who sent it, me, segmented everybody before we sent it and changed the value prop. And it asks the right call to action because Lavender told me what call to action to use, or I've seen it in my own world, what actually works. There's a PS now because we know that increases reply rates by 30%. And it's then followed up within 5 minutes with a phone call from a sales rep because there was this app to push them over. Well, if that's happening today, I'm like, wow, that was cool. Or just like, weird, they called. Next year, I'll be like, that's really friggin' annoying. Oh, I just got an email. I opened it and I got a phone call 2 seconds later. Classic. And so we're going to stop answering our phones altogether, stop answering our emails altogether. I wouldn't be surprised if we see in the next 2 years, companies going, we don't use email, we use Slack. Now what do? You can't call them because it's all cell phones. You can't email them because they're not on their email, they're in Slack. How the hell do we get to these people? So I think that within 2 or 3 years, the automation I'm creating, the automation that anybody else is doing and whatever they're doing will cause people to move away from whatever that medium is. That's the negative.
You've mentioned a lot of the tech that like Lavender and Apollo and things like that. And those are obviously tools that you automate actions with, but those cost money. And some organizations might not have that money to spend on that. So say I can rephrase it in the sense of talking with a new like director of sales who maybe is getting promoted to VP or is going to make those decisions to do those technologies. What tech would you choose to spend your money on like right away? And when would you say like, let's wait on that before we see what happens?
Sit on intent. It's not as cool as it looks. It's all BS. I also, any signals, all that buying signals stuff, just chill. All you really need is you need a tool to get as much content as physically possible. Distribution matters. To me, that's instantly. It's $97 a month. You know, it costs you $6 a month for the emails you're going to get per email. So it's instantly. 2 is you need a list of people to go after. So I use Upwork to do that, and they use Apollo and ZoomInfo or whatever else to get the information, and then they do their tweaks. So that's my hack, which is everybody on the planet using Zoom. But when you're a sales lobster, pick a company, huge company that's doing sales, they don't have the ability to say, oh, let's take this list of 50 million people and make it look different so everybody who receives the email sees it looking different. They can't do that. You can. And then the third is content. So we're really like content, audience. And I would hire someone like me or grab my sequences or my LinkedIn bios. There's plenty of other ones too you can get there for free. And just steal that content, plug it into instantly, so you have the distribution engine, and plug all of that through sales prospects, so that you're getting as many good content as fast as possible to as many people as possible. Don't worry about anything else. I wouldn't worry about Lavender. To be honest, like do it yourself, test things out. They make plenty of good content out there, and that's it. Anything else, don't do. If you think you should do something else, what you should do is do some scenario planning first. So one of the things, you can actually check it out. It's a free tinyurl.com/official scenario builder. And what you want to do is you want to look at your costs, your people, and your outputs today. And then you want to make some estimations on, well, what if we bought this tool, that tool, this software, that software, whatever, and make some estimations of how much increase in win rate, deal size, number of leads, whatever it's going to bring, in addition to how much it's going to cost. And see, does the cost and expected outcome, is that greater than, is the outcome greater than the cost? And a lot of times what I find is that, especially customers I talk to, they're like, listen, I've sent 300 emails. I know my response rate, I can get one meeting per 300. And I go, wonderful. Then you should have no worry spending a few $1,000s to set up a tool that's going to give you 3,000 emails every day. Because you have a little bit of data to be able to make that decision. So I think that should answer your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
We're going to bring this all home to a close. To unpack, what would be, if someone's listening and you hear yourself in third person, like, oh, wow, I just dropped some bombs of knowledge and swagger, all that energy and good stuff. What's the takeaway you hope listeners get from this for what you share? If you could summarize it up.
Don't overcomplicate what needs to be done. Don't be afraid to take first choice, and don't take too long when you could have someone else do it for you much faster.
Outside of being a great VP of sales and helping make a ton of money, at the end of the day, we can't take the money with us. So what makes you happy? Where's your happy place?
I feel like it's really cheesy saying it, but it really is making other people so happy. Like the mission of my company is I want to make people more proud of themselves through getting better at sales. But the things I look at every day are like comments or emails or whatever, not from an ego perspective of like, Mike, you helped me do all these great things, but more of like, really, you got a job that you're so pumped about? There's a construction worker who was like, I worked construction for my whole life, and now I'm in sales because of you. I'm like, man, I'm going to carry that with me to the gates, you know? So I feel like I'm it's a blessing to be in a position where you can help people hit what they're trying to do. And anybody who's managed people know exactly the feeling I'm talking about.
I find with growth, as we've echoed throughout this whole conversation, relationships is key, but also just gratitude. I'm coming from a place of gratitude. I get the opportunity. It's kind of like a child gets hurt and you have the parent that's like, it lets the person sit with that pain versus the parent's like, you good. Psychologically, they're like, maybe I'm not going to cry as loud. I'm not going to, okay, I'm good. And I think just the gratitude, I get blessed another day to go out here and get something, to get money, to which funds the impact, which funds the vacations, which funds the better life, the generational wealth, whatever it is you want that money to transfer into. You just got another, no matter how bad the sales cycle was yesterday, no matter how bad you didn't work so hard for this multi-million-dollar client and they close you off in the last second, clearly I'm bitter about it. I digress. I get to wake up another day and try again with the opportunity to serve people that could benefit from our zone of genius. So I found that very impactful. So we thank you.
We're in the exact same. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that wraps up another episode of Unfiltered Growth. Make sure you subscribe, rate
with 5 stars,
and leave us a review.
Remember, growth doesn't happen in isolation. Join our community of bold thinkers and doers on social media and stay connected.
Don't forget to go to season3media.com/podcast for strategy or event inquiries, resources, or to just chill with us.
Until next time, keep pushing boundaries, embracing diversity, and never stop growing. This is Christina and Troy signing off. And remember,
no filters,
just growth.